Hello, boys and girls. Got another video for you fine folks on the internet. Another installment today in the Matthew Buckley Talks music series. Once again, looking at a mid-60s pop and rock album. Today's selection is Memories Are Made of This by Dino, Desi, and Billy. Issued in May of 1966 on Reprise Records, released on mono vinyl in the United States, Canada, and Venezuela, and on stereo vinyl in the United States, Canada, and Germany. This is the third full-length album by the trio, the teen pop trio Dino, Desi, and Billy, consisting of Dino Martin, Desi Arnaz Jr., and Billy Hinchke. And this, as I said, was issued on Reprise Records. It's another collection of mostly cover songs of other top 40 hit songs. It's almost entirely cover songs this go around, with the songs, all those cover songs arranged around just a couple of anchor tracks created by the in-house team. Lee Hazelwood reprises his role as producer. So for anyone who doesn't know about Dino, Desi, and Billy, you can check out my previous review of their first album, in which I go into a little bit of background. There's not too much to say other than affluent young teenage boys who made friends in high school and decided to start playing music together since their fathers' checkbooks would afford them the not only finances for instruments, but also the connections, being that Dean Martin was on Reprise Records and friends with Frank Sinatra and all that, and they had their connections. And it's also worth noting that even though his father was not in the biz like the other two cohorts in this band, Billy Hinchke had his music biz connections, as his sister Annie, just 3 months, I believe, before this album was released, was married to Carl Wilson of the Beach Boys. So that's a music connection that he would maintain the rest of his life. But that's getting a little off track here. On to the album itself. Soft sounds and vaguely Spanish guitar opens side A with the title cut, Memories Are Made of This, most famously performed by Dean Martin Sr. And this is a perfectly serviceable, if somewhat unremarkable, cover. The harmony vocals are well sung, and the instrumentation is definitely the most standout part of the recording. It's a fine cover. The next track is a cover of Good Lovin', originally written by Rudy Clark and Arthur Resnick, popularized by the Young Rascals, and also performed by the Grateful Dead and many, many others. This cover is rightly an upbeat romp with very lively vocals, both lead and harmony vocals. The production and arrangement really shine on this track, just bursting with energy without being at all overdone. Really, the sound borders on kind of garage rock styles. It's a solid, good, fun reading of a classic song. The next track is a cover of Daydream, written by John Sebastian and originally performed by his band The Lovin' Spoonful. And this is a dynamite choice for the boys to cover. They really do a great job with the upbeat yet laid back, even lilting song. You can just, really believe the boys as they sing the song. It's one of my personal highlights on the album. And the next track on the album is a cover of Girl Don't Tell Me, written by Brian Wilson and originally performed by his band The Beach Boys. And this is another spectacular choice for inclusion on this album. It's a very strong cover. We have dynamite vocals coming from a place that you can believe as they sing it. Especially, since these are, young schoolboys singing, singing in this song about having a girl that they don't anticipate being true to them throughout the school year. So it's fitting. Definitely another one of my personal highlights on the album, no matter how you slice it. The next track is a cover of Homeward Bound, written by Paul Simon and originally performed by Simon and Garfunkel. This song comes from a bit of a different place than most of the rest of the album's songs, but is still delivered with a clear reverence for the material. The boys do a lovely job with the vocals, even if the song is something of an outlier in the track sequence, at least in thematic terms. It's easily one of the more mature songs on the album. And it is a good thing, for them to have more diverse material in terms of emotional maturity, but it just definitely makes it stick out a bit more, especially considering the rest of the material on the first side. It definitely, like I said, just stands out. But it's not a bad cover. Again, they sing it very lovely. The vocals are fantastic. And with this cover, we end side A. Side B opens with a cover of Baby Scratch My Back, originally written and performed by blues guitarist Slim Harpo. And this track does come across as something of a bit of something of novelty filler. I'm sure it was fun to record, but it doesn't exactly bear repeated listening, in my opinion. If any one of the boys were more accomplished musicians, this would be the place to showcase their musical chops, but none of them are exactly musical virtuosos, so it kind of just becomes a little bit repetitive, and by the fourth or fifth time you hear oh baby scratch all over, it just gets to be a little bit like, all right, what hit me with the next track, either hit me with a guitar solo or let's get on with it. So it's take it or leave it, and I'd like to leave it. But after the next track, the following track is a cover of When You Walk in the Room, originally written and performed by pop singer and songwriter Jackie DeShannon. And unlike the previous track, this is another dynamite choice for the boys to cover. It just oozes, the song does, with youthful energy, and we get very strong vocals, dynamite harmonies. It's good stuff. If I had been producing or managing the group, I sure would have picked or at least suggested this song for single release. It's another definite highlight of the album, as I see it, at least amongst the covers. And the next track, Tie Me Down, was written by American singer and songwriter David Gates, and was released as the 6th 45 RPM single by Dino, Desi Billy in April 1966, a few weeks before this album release. Through the lyrics, the singer complains about people in his life trying to tie him down and discourage his free living lifestyle. And, well, we all know ain't nobody got time for that. It's a fine song, fits that youthful, rebellious kind of attitude. And sonically, it's another track that, leans, not super heavily, but definitely leans towards that kind of garagey, very proto-punk, but just definite kind of fuzzy garage rock type sound. And the next track, Just the Way You Are, which was issued as the B-side of that song, was written by country and singer-songwriter Dickie Lee, along with country music producer Lee Reynolds. As I said, it was released as the flip side of that 6th 45 RPM single. And in the lyrics of the song, the singer assures his love that his attraction isn't based on some superficial quality of hers, but it's just the way she is. Lovely. In my opinion, the main opening guitar riff is very reminiscent of You Really Got Me by the Kinks, but that might just be me. And again, with that reference in mind, the sound of this track borders on that kind of garage rock territory. The next track is a cover of Spanish Harlem Incident, written and performed by Bob Dylan. This is probably the track that to me seems the most out of place amongst the rest of the album's tracks. It's a fine cover. The boys do a fine job singing, lovely job singing even. But as I've said before, the song just comes from a different place than the majority of the album's material. And for me, it's hard to believe the boys as they sing this song. It perhaps feels the least natural of all the songs on the album, if that makes sense. The most like they're trying to, imitate something that isn't who they actually are. But that might just be me. And again, it's not as if it's a bad song or a badly recorded or sung track. It just doesn't exactly feel like something that would come from them. And the next track I could definitely say the same about, as the album concludes here with a cover of Nowhere Man, written by the John Lennon, Paul McCartney songwriting team, and of course originally performed by the Beatles. This is a perfect example of a song that just seems slightly out of the range that these songs, in my opinion, work best within. The harmony vocals are sung just sublime, but it just doesn't quite click into a fully realized cover of this classic Beatles song for me. But again, the boys do a fine job, vocally. Their vocals really are, delivered with skill. They are skillful vocalists. But it's I wish they would have, even on Rubber Soul, there's other songs that I think would be, better fit for them to cover, like Drive My Car, or Words of Love, or What You're Doing, songs like that, as opposed to Nowhere Man, which, again, like Spanish Harlem Incident, just kind of comes from a different place. But with that cover, we end side B. So, final thoughts. It's a good album. The ratio of cover songs has increased between this album and their first album, and it's certainly not to the detriment of the album, as most of these are very well curated songs, and many of the cover songs chosen for this are honestly, I would say, more exciting than the anchor tracks, if I can refer to them as such, that were released on 45. The song selection, as I've said, can make a massive difference, as a well-chosen cover song can make for an album highlight, while a poorly chosen cover song can just make for a head-scratcher. Songs like Girl Don't Tell Me and When You Walk in the Room are delivered with such sincerity and energy that you really feel, you really believe the boys beyond hearing them. Meanwhile, tracks like Spanish Harlem Incident and Nowhere Man feel much more imitative, like they're imitating, and unnatural for the boys. All things considered, this is a very strong teen pop and rock album with just enough fuzzy guitar to dip its toes into the pool of garage rock. It definitely, I guess I spoke a little prematurely earlier when I used the phrase proto-punk. It definitely doesn't qualify as proto-punk, this album doesn't, but it's got enough of the fuzz that it's just sort of leaning in that direction. But yeah, all things considered, it's got some very great covers on here. The covers of Daydream, Girl Don't Tell Me, When You Walk in the Room, and honestly, those alone make this album worth the price of admission. So a little bit of a closer look here at the cover. A very nice portrait of Dino, Desi, and Billy, looking young and hip with their sort of Beatle cuts going on. Very nice layout for the tracks and the titles. Back cover has actually labeled pictures of the boys, so if you don't know who's who, they actually at least tell you who's who. We got another little nice box for the tracks there, and I find it interesting that they note solos. They don't even note who wrote what songs, but they note which of the boys has vocals on the track, or the solo, I should say, which cracks me up. The label here, once again, we just got the regular multicolor Reprise label. Nothing too crazy to write home about. This is the stereo copy, as you can see. So, another fine album. Honestly, even though, if this makes sense, I would say this is a breezier, easier listen than the first album, but I would say that the first album has a few high points than this one. So all things considered, I'd probably rate this, 7 out of 10. I want to say 6, but, the couple of the covers really do put it into the, higher, stronger 6, weaker 7, so I'll just round it all out and go 7 out of 10. This is a perfectly fine album, a very enjoyable listen, and again, I know I already mentioned at the beginning of the video, but this album came out shortly after Billy Hinchke would become Carl Wilson's brother-in-law, so it's very cool to see a Beach Boy cover on here, kind of as a little nod or wink at that their personal connection, and right alongside a cover of Dean Martin, since Dino was in the band as well. So these guys weren't afraid to tap on their connections and point out their extended musical family, if you will. So let me know, now that I've been rambling for a little while here on this, let me know in the comments below, have you heard Memories Are Made of This? Are you familiar with Dino, Desi, and Billy? I'd love to see or read any anecdotes in the comments section below. Keep tuning in, because I'll keep them coming at you. And this has been Matthew Buckley Talks Music with Memories Are Made of This by Dino, Desi, and Billy. Music is the best.